the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
It sounds like the Chicago Bears are starting to gain a little bit more steam en route to their next head coach. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Bears fans, make sure you also do me another huge favor by also hitting the like button on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. All right, Bears fans, we have a couple of more updates in regard to the Chicago Bears head coaching search, and it's really nothing major, but it's definitely some tidbits of information that I want to make you guys aware on. And once again, this is information on Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson that has a lot of Bears fans going crazy. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick little bit more intel and detail about what's going on with Ben Johnson right now. As of today, and this didn't happen as of today, but today something came out about an agency that Ben Johnson signed with prior to the 2024 NFL season. And he signed with agent Rick Smith of Priority Sports. And the big thing about Rick Smith is that he is living currently in the Chicago area. He lives in Highland Park, I believe. And the agency is actually, or at least one of the places that the agency is located in, is the Chicago area. So obviously right now, Bears fans are going crazy about the fact that this agency and Rick Smith is currently in the Chicago area, and it just seems like, you know, the odds possibly for the Chicago Bears to now land Ben Johnson as the next Chicago Bears head coach kind of went up, and that's not always the case. But when you see and hear little tidbits of information like this, it makes you believe that you may have a better chance. Once again, that is not always fully accurate, but I do want to say that this is some tidbit of information that I want you guys to be aware on. I just wanted to make it known here on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. But another thing that I really wanted to talk about on today's episode of Keek on the Mic is it's kind of like this feud between Las Vegas Raiders fans over Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, and rightfully so. Ben Johnson is the hottest candidate. He is the big fish in this coaching cycle. And for the longest time, you know, Raiders fans, just because of their beat writers and a couple of different analysts, were basically saying, hey, it's basically a done deal that Ben Johnson will be the next Las Vegas Raiders head coach. But this is where Adam Schefter came in, and he went on the Pat McAfee show today, and basically this is Adam Schefter on where Ben Johnson lands, and they were asking everything about the coaching cycle, but they were just really talking about Ben Johnson, and this is what he had to say on people stating that it's a done deal in Las Vegas for Ben Johnson. He says, I know everybody has Ben Johnson anointed to the Raiders, but I'm not in that camp right now. Why is everybody ignoring Chicago when it comes to Ben Johnson? And I really recommend you guys go watch this little segment of Adam Schefter on the Pat McAfee show, because Adam Schefter is much more informed than any other Raiders beat writer, any other Bears beat writer, any beat writer out there. Right now, everyone is really just trying to make up rumors because they truly want Ben Johnson to be their team's next head coach. And once again, Ben Johnson, he's a great candidate, great offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. We do need to understand that once again, he is going to be a first-time head coach, but there's always that risk when you're hiring a first-time head coach to be your head coach. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of teams willing to take that risk. But once again, when I'm looking at situations like this, where it seems like, you know, no one really knows what's going on, I am going to choose to listen to someone like Adam Schefter, who's once again is much more informed than any Raiders beat writer on this issue, or any Bears beat writer on that matter on this Ben Johnson issue. There was also another thing that Adam Schefter said on the Pat McAfee show that really caught my attention, and it makes a whole lot of sense, because if you guys remember, Ben Johnson was also in one of the big fish in the coaching cycle last year as well, but he did opt to go back to be the Lions offensive coordinator. But we all know that the Washington Washington Commanders had that really intriguing opening. They had a lot of cap space. They had the number 2 overall pick that obviously turned into Jaden Daniels. And we all know how Jaden Daniels is playing right now. You can only imagine what Ben Johnson would have been able to do with a guy like Jaden Daniels. And the Washington Commanders really wanted Ben Johnson as their next head coach. And it seemed like the interview was agreed on. But then Ben Johnson decided at the last second to go back to Detroit for another season as their offensive coordinator. Adam Schefter basically just said this on, the whole Las Vegas Raider rumors and them getting Ben Johnson, even the Chicago Bears getting Ben Johnson. He's like, this is why it doesn't make sense why people are out there saying that the Las Vegas Raiders it's like a lock that they're going to get Ben Johnson. He was like, why would Ben Johnson turn down the Washington Commanders situation when it seemed like a pretty good situation? You had loads of cap space, good draft capital, end up landing the number 2 overall pick, Jaden Daniels, and obviously that would have been intriguing to see Ben Johnson work with Jaden Daniels. You had all that, but you turn that down. But why the next year would you go into a situation that's so dysfunctional like the Las Vegas Raiders? And you can say all you want about the cap space that they have, and they are a young team. They have some talent on that roster. They have the number 6th or 7th overall pick in the draft, which is not really good enough to get one of the top quarterbacks. And even if you did have the number 1 or 2 overall pick, it's not like the quarterback class this year is outstanding compared to what we just witnessed in last year's NFL draft with Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, etc. He's like, so I don't understand why Ben Johnson, in my personal opinion, would go into a situation like that when just a year ago he turned down, and in my personal opinion, once again, talking as I'm Adam Schefter here, in my personal opinion, the Washington Commanders had a much more appealing situation. And he makes a lot of sense. You can also make some of the same arguments with the Chicago Bears, kind of dealing with like that lame duck GM status, owners that are kind of dysfunctional as well. The Chicago Bears, as a whole, has been dysfunctional, haven't won a lot of football games, haven't been to the playoffs in a very long time. But what makes Chicago appealing, of course, is that they already have the quarterback in Caleb Williams. They already have the infrastructure built around Caleb Williams, obviously, besides the offensive line. Got to get that taken care of. Already have a top 10 to 15 defense. And, I think they're going to come back and have a really good year next year. I'm in Chicago. So the infrastructure is already there. All Ben Johnson would have to come do is come and be a really good head coach. And that would be the hope, and build the offensive line. And he can possibly win right away with the Chicago Bears. So I do appreciate Adam Schefter coming out and kind of saying, hey, this is not a done deal. The Chicago Bears have a legit chance as well, along with Jacksonville as well. He says he thinks it's a 3-team race, and no one knows at the moment what Ben Johnson is going to do. Ben Johnson at the moment is focused on winning a Super Bowl as the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. All his focus is on the playoffs right now. Once the playoffs ends, then this situation right here with Ben Johnson will get interesting. So this message goes to Raiders fans. This message goes to Bears fans. No one knows what Ben Johnson is doing. It's fun to speculate. It's fun to, make up rumors and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, the only person that knows what Ben Johnson is doing is Ben Johnson himself. And I would even argue that Ben Johnson doesn't even know what he wants to do. What's going to be interesting about all this, Bears fans, is that prior to the Detroit Lions either winning the Super Bowl or getting eliminated from this year's playoffs, this is how you're going to kind of know who's going to land Ben Johnson, because whoever lands the very first in-person interview with Ben Johnson, to me, is going to win the Ben Johnson Sweepstakes. And the only reason why I say that is because usually if the team gets the opportunity to speak to Ben Johnson or a coach in any matter first, most of the time they're not going to let that coach leave their facility. So to me, that's how I'm going to kind of know that, if the Bears are going to land him or not. If he ends up taking the Raiders, interview first, like in-person interview first, then that's probably not good news. But if he takes the Chicago Bears in-person interview first, then maybe that means the Chicago Bears will be able to land Ben Johnson. But at this point in time, just be really, really cautious on who you're listening to for any NFL news. I would argue that you should choose to believe what Adam Schefter's saying, Albert Breer, Tom Pelissero, Ian Rappaport, guys like that, because they're more connected, they're more informed on these situations. I wouldn't trust any beat writers. I wouldn't trust any former players that have connections. I would just listen to guys like Adam Schefter, Tom Pelissero, Albert Breer, etc. Because once again, they are more informed with what's going on inside both of these organizations. Not only inside both of these organizations, but at least they have more connections to what's possibly going on in Ben Johnson's camp and in his mind as well. But at this moment, no one knows what Ben Johnson's doing. I think it's going to be an outstanding hire for whoever is able to land them. So let the best team win at the end of the day. You guys can go ahead and continue to tear each other apart, talking about Raiders and Bears fans. I find it really comical seeing you guys on social media just tear each other apart. So you guys continue to have your fun. But once again, I wanted to come on here really quick and just give you guys those couple updates. As always, comment down below in the comment section and let me know how you're feeling about all this. Are you guys still on board for the Bears to hire Ben Johnson? Are you kind of at the point now where, like, you know what? It is what it is. If he becomes the Bears head coach, he does. If he doesn't, we move on to our second best option. Let me know down below in the comment section how you're feeling about all of this. But other than that, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for our all new Bears podcast right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic.